Still sticking with the, oh, there we go.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to The Spiritual Activist. I could not be more thrilled to have such an extraordinary panel on with us today. We've got Andrea DiLorenzo from AndreaDiLorenzo.com. How are you, Andrea?
I'm lovely as ever. Thank you.
Lovely as ever. I love it. David Pagan from Kick-Ass Dad. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Love being here.
Rahul Bhambhani from The Invincible Man. Welcome, Rahul.
That's what's up.
That is what's
Thank
up.
you.
That is what's up. Elle Sompres, how are you today, Elle?
I am so fantastic. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you from InspiredSuccess.com. So we've got just a wonderful panel of people who are incredibly inspired to create real and lasting change, sustainable change on the planet by creating more energy towards positivity, passion, love, respect, mutual understanding. My God, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today. And we have a special topic today that we kind of kicked off our hip recently, and it's this idea of spiritual intimacy. How do we begin to integrate our physical intimacy with our spiritual intimacy in our lives? Rahul, go!
Oh, nice. Well, I could speak to many different levels of that conversation. Let's just start
Let's just start from the tip. I mean,
this is the tip. We'll start with the tip. And we'll
Just
go
to
from
see how
there.
it feels. Just to see how it feels. Just for a second. Just for a second.
Well, intimacy, man. I was reflecting on this morning when I was writing this email to all these amazing people in my life. And David, you're going to get an email too, so just chill out for a second before you even say it.
Want to be in the top 20.
Hold on, it's coming. The email's coming to you too. Don't worry. Anyway, so this idea of intimacy and how like we have all these ideas of what it actually means to be intimate and to like connect with another human being. And I'm like, at this point in my life, it's like I love each and every one of you. Like, Elle, I don't even know you, but I love you, and I can actually say that that's real for me because I don't feel separate. I don't feel separate from the people in my world, and like that's been my work. Is like, so this idea of physical intimacy, it's like, okay, just the tip, right? And then like we evolve beyond that, and it's like, we go beyond that, and it's like, okay, I realize I'm more than just my body, and intimacy is actually being created on a energetic level, like a connection sense. Like, what is a connection? You can't touch it, but it's there, and it's very real. It's even more real than the physical interaction sometimes, right? I can feel that. Like, me and Andrea have had that amazing relationship where we have not been sexually into each, like we haven't sexually been into each other. We haven't had sex. We haven't done the merging. We haven't done the merging, but we've had.
That's the one you're looking for.
But we've had the merging of our spirits and our souls. So it's like we've made love, and we always do. So it's like, to me, intimacy is so much more than just the physical expression. It's the connection. It's the energetic relationship. It's the spiritual connection that's always real and always there.
We're playing this as a version of Hardball today. Elle, go!
Yes, I've never been with you guys. Let me talk about it. No, I can jump in. It's all good. No, I completely agree with what you're saying, Rahul. I mean, it's Andrea and I had this lovely conversation yesterday just about that when you get into such this space of absolute and complete joy, of love for yourself, you just love the planet so much, and I keep calling them these heart explosions I have. I wake up and I just will be like, I just want to love today. And there's no specific person in mind. There's no specific, content-driven idea. It's just love. And I can't wait to the people I come in contact with, whether it's strangers, whether it's, someone I am romantically attracted to, or just friends, my family. It just explodes out of me. I just want to love everyone. And even the people that are driving me crazy. It's because that's part of life. It doesn't mean that's one thing that I think when we get into the spiritual talk, sometimes it's like, oh, does that just mean like no one gets on your nerves or no one rubs you wrong? I'm like, no, I'm human. There's still things that can hit me, but I still go, but I see beneath and below and above all of that.
Nice.
What is able to be like.
Right. Michael, go. Okay, so I want to agree with you there. I realize talking about yourself in the third person tends to be kind of psychotic, but I'm okay with that because I'm a little out of my mind. I get it. So that idea for me, that idea of, you wake up every morning, and it really reminds me, when you say that, it really reminds me of like Buddha, it reminds me of Jesus, like these dudes, like when they talk to people, when Jesus would look into the eyes of a leper, there was no distinction. There was no separation. He saw the true to form spirit that was himself. He was looking in a mirror. So in effect, if we're all looking in a mirror and we're waking up to this idea of universal love, right? So we live in the universe. What is the universe? The universe is one, uni. So this idea that we're all these separate beings was an illusion to create an interesting history, I would imagine. I mean, that's my interpretation of life as we know it. And so this idea that we're moving forward and kind of coming back into ourselves, into our space of our spiritual connection, just reminds me that there really is nothing else but this connection. And so the opportunity for us now to converge on a new level, whereas if I walk out, if I look at my wife in the eyes, I see the same love as if I look at my kid, as if I look in David, Andrea, Elle, and Rahul. Now we have this kind of new context, or the old is new again context, that we are all on a sacred mission of love to really recreate this world in that vision. Andrea, go.
Well, yeah, what's coming to me is yes, 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 yes. And
that's what I like to hear.
It's one thing to believe in this idea of universal love and to connect to the idea and the concept of loving everybody as your lover. And then it's a whole other thing to actually integrate the energy and integrate the experience of this as like the living embodiment of that universal love. And so for me, a lot of my journey has been around really first initially connecting to myself beyond the body, beyond my personality, and really experiencing myself a lot through the eyes of other people who are, holding that space already, and seeing myself beyond all of this and connecting to that. And then the next part of that I have found is then the integration. It's the bringing heaven to earth, of feeling ourselves who we truly are at that core, and feeling that, connecting to that, and then bringing it down into our bodies, into this experience, into this physical form and experience. And that to me has been key in being able to actually truly be out in the world and feel my heart open and love on the planet.
That's awesome. David, unmute yourself. Go.
Speaking to the group. There, is it unmuted now?
Yes.
You're good. Holding your fist up, Rahul?
Oh, it's snapping my finger now.
No, I got you. Go. When it comes to intimacy, I don't know. It's always been for me like in a relationship with somebody, right? Whether it be a friendship or a romantic one. Right now, I'm going to talk about a romantic relationship. I've always like really, really, really wanted to know the person, and it didn't really click with me, or I didn't really understand it, oddly enough, until I saw like a comedy, and it was called The Love Guru. And I was joking around about it the other day when I was messaging with you guys, and I mean, he was joking, but there's a lot of truth in jest. He says, he was giving like a workshop or something in front of his ashram, and he says, intimacy, or into me I see, is how he broke it down, and he kind of kept going, and I really thought about that. I mean, it was a while ago, and it's kind of a corny thing to start that train of thought, but I couldn't really make love to somebody, be intimate with somebody, if I didn't see myself first, so, because I wouldn't know what to look for in the other person, because first of all, I wouldn't be there, I don't know myself, so it's really just a shell of a man having sex with a woman. That's about it. And when I really got to know myself and love all of myself, the fuck ups, the cool shit, all that stuff, the amazing things, the times that I screwed up, all this stuff, and just the things that I'm not good at, I didn't really understand how to really love somebody else, and really see them when I'm looking at them, because I'm a big eye guy. I like eye contact when I speak to people. So when it comes to physical intimacy, I look at the person. I want to really see that person, understand every expression of what we're doing right now. Being that intimate with each other isn't just the physical aspect. It's something that we describe our affection for each other, and how much we want to share with each other and do for the other person. I mean, that's what it is for me. And you can't do that unless you really see the other person. And I don't think you can do that unless you really know yourself first. And until then, you're just kind of fucking.
Well, yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. And as a man growing up in our society from a young boy, I had massive misinterpretations when it came to intimacy and sex. I mean, I grew up, my first introduction to sex was Skinamax. I mean, that was the first time I saw a naked woman really for the first time. And then growing up with pornography in our society, this is what boys do. And this is what, if you're not looking at these things and if you're not plugged into these things, you're not cool. And, to experience that and then now, fast forward 25 years later and go, oh my God, I had it completely wrong. Like I got that momentary, expression of physical exhilaration, but it always was left with a feeling of emptiness, shame, and guilt. And that may or may not be because I was raised Catholic. I don't know. I haven't put my finger on it yet.
Prostitute, either way.
Or
So whatever
yeah,
you
I mean, well, no, and then there's that other idea, and this is what I didn't get it until later, but I always felt guilty, and I think it was because I was thinking about, okay, who is this woman? Who is this woman behind the screen? Who is this woman behind the page who is being paid to do this? Is she happy? Is she, and that's really where it started to break down for me, where I started to go, what is this idea of sexuality that our society is so determined to force down our throats, and the objectification of women? And we read this beautiful article recently about what really does it mean to objectify women, and it's the idea that you only show one particular body part, or that the woman's eyes are closed, or that she doesn't have thoughts, and there's these definitions. I'm going, oh my God, I didn't realize that I had been doing that, but I had, and it was kind of eye-opening to me.
So, ladies, I would love to get your take on this, what I'm about to share, like your experience.
I didn't know where you were going with that.
Take on this. Yeah, no, so like there's so sexual, like sex for men and women both, like physical expression, physical act of it. I feel like so often in my own experience, I've had to work through this quite a bit. Like men have this, it's almost like we're conditioned into objectifying women. So it's like, we relate to women in that way. It's almost like automatic. I was noticing it. I was at Whole Foods and I'm like, man, I was checking out that girl's ass. I'm like, why is this automatically always happening? So there's a biological aspect to it, right? Where it's like, it's natural. Right. But then there's a condition level aspect where it's like, that's just what's been like, the porn and like all this other stuff. And like my friends and like growing up in a locker room, having like guys talking about this stuff. So, and then women, it's like having to be on guard with that. And then there's like this natural intimacy that wants to move between these two beings, even between very conscious beings. Like I got to experience with Andrea in our relationship. Like, and Andrea, if you have a problem with me talking about this, let me know. Yeah. But like, just like how there was a part of me that still, even at that time, was wanting to express my intimacy in that way with her. And because she was going through the other side of the process where she's like, I want to just be in love without having that expression. It was like we both got to work it out from these opposite ends where it's like, wait a second, we can actually like fully be in love and make love without it having to be defined that way. And now that we've moved through that, it's like that charge can be neutralized and it no longer has to be in the space. And now we can, like, that's no longer that fear of it or that need for it. The sexual expression in the physical is no longer regulating or blocking the intimacy. So I want to speak to that dynamic between men and women because I feel like it's all happening for almost everyone all the time. It's like, I love this person. Been in this conversation with girlfriends recently. I love him, but I don't want to go too far because what if he gets the wrong idea and he wants to have sex and I don't want to and then it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, it's just amazing. So ladies, I'd love to hear your opinion, and of course men too.
Yeah, I mean, I can just say quickly, it's a moment daily, I guess, choice that I face every day, even just walking down the street. And you know, watching men look at me and feeling my response to that. And it's actually been, it's been something over the last few weeks that I've been deeply committed to and paying a lot of attention to, is my reaction to the way men react or respond to me. And I think because the thing that I'm actually noticing is that I have had a lot of those thoughts in my head around, oh, well, I don't want to, if I see a guy looking at me walking down the street, it's like I don't want to look back at him because I don't want to give him the wrong idea that I might be into him or that I might be open to him sexually, and I don't want to give him any reason to think that I might be. But what's so interesting is that, like I said, this has been a practice for me over the last few weeks, is I've been noticing that thought and then consciously letting the thought go and just letting myself walk, like, being fully aware of me, fully aware of my body, fully aware of my presence, and just letting myself walk into that energy. And what's so amazing is when I just accept it without resisting it, I can literally feel men's hearts melt. And it's almost like, and their responses to me, they actually say things to me when I walk by, but they'll say something I would have never thought. Like, they're not catcalling me, they're not, you know, responding to some body part of mine. They're actually either acknowledging my energy, or they're saying something that they were noticing that I would have never in a million years thought they were paying attention to. You know, I'm thinking they're looking at my boobs or my ass or like wanting to, you know, do something sexual to me. And so I feel, for me as a woman, a deep, deep, deep responsibility. I will never forget when my mentor, Coop Blackson, said to me, because I told him I felt a calling to work with men. And he said, one of the greatest challenges or things you will face is to not resist the heart-on, to allow the heart-on to come towards you and not resist it, and take that energy literally from their balls and bring them to God. And ever since he said that, I mean, I felt that transition inside of me.
I'm done. I'm done.
For those of you listening, David just threw down his earphones and left the studio.
It was great being with you guys today. I gotta go take a cold.
His not only did his balls freeze, his feet froze as well.
But
Yeah, I gotta go do some self love.
Go ahead, Andrea.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, coming into this place, now this might not be something I like tell every woman on the planet to do. I think it, like I said, it's the responsibility to feel that wholeness inside of you, and again, to know yourself beyond the body, but then also being very present to your body and feeling your body and owning the sensations and feelings in your bodies and trusting that, you know. But yeah, that's been big time. So that applies not only to people that I'm close with, but also to strangers as well.
That was powerful. Thank you, Andrea. And that idea that, you know, being kind of that transmutative agent, kind of that person who you have this extraordinary motherly, open energy. It's very, you remind me kind of like the ocean. Like, you've got that just vast energy that is really like, you know, infinite and omnipresent. And you kind of, and so that idea that Kook gave you is to transmute, you know, some of these very masculine energies and these very dynamic energies into something a little softer and a little more open, a little more, you know, forgiving. And I think that's just an extraordinary response. David, why did that freeze your balls?
Oh, they're not frozen. No, I've experienced kind of the, now I don't want to say it in those words, but where I've just allowed myself to be, and you know, I mean, if I, like when I see a woman, for instance, I say what it is that's on my mind at the moment, you know, and I tend to, and for many years, I can find something beautiful about almost every woman on this planet, right? I'm just saying almost any, I don't know, because I assume there's just some people out there that are ugly through and through, like from the soul. I'm just saying, right? But, you know, and I will just say it. If I think a woman has beautiful hair, I say you have beautiful hair. If you have beautiful eyes, I say you have beautiful eyes. You know, if she has a magnificent smile, I just say it. I don't care if she's wearing her Walmart apron or whatever it is. I just say it. It doesn't mean I'm hitting on her. You know, I'm just expressing a love for what I believe to be beauty in her, and it's something that over time has enabled me to even appreciate myself a whole lot more. And it's, you know, to kind of speak what you were saying too earlier, Michael, about what's gone on with as far as, you know, porn out there all the time, and we're made to feel as if we're weird for not looking at it, you know, for not buying into it. Like, I don't know how many movies, how many interviews, or whatever it is, sitcoms where men just say, like, of course I look at porn. Every man looks at porn. Like, not every man looks at porn. You know, not everyone chooses to express or go that route with that energy and make it about only the physical thing and experience nothing else. To the point where and I'll share an experience here. A while back, this was before I was really awake to myself or really cared to even get to know myself. There was a woman that was very, very bubbly, very spiritually active. I mean, she glowed when she walked, you know. And I'd known her for many, many years. And finally there came time where she came back from where she lived and we were together and things matched up nicely. And, we ended up making love one day. Well, we didn't actually make love. I was fucking, she was making love. And afterwards, it freaked me the hell out because she was so there and I wasn't. It made me feel uncomfortable, right? And so that's why I think most people shy away from it. It is a very uncomfortable thing because even though you're naked, you're not, and I've said this before, I've used this metaphor before, you're not really naked from the inside out. And when you are, it's a weird thing. And in one of my most recent relationships, during an intimate moment, like she just totally disconnected, and it was because she wasn't there. She wasn't activated. She wasn't awake yet, and she felt weird by me being like that. So I actually understood what she was saying. Needless to say, that relationship didn't work out because we didn't have a spiritual connection. So ultimately, there was no real intimacy. And so it was. I think it's as big a problem as any of the other things that we try to awaken people to.
That's awesome.
Truly being intimate.
That's a great point.
Go ahead, Michael. I'm sorry. There's always
I was telling David that's a great point, and then I wanted to hear your perspective, Elle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I really want to speak to that because you're talking so much about the conditioning of men, right? Which is so true and so valid. And then we women are so conditioned from the time we're little girls, right? It's all about be pretty, behave, be a good girl, go along to get along. And then I see so many amazing, beautiful heart women that shut down, like you were saying, Andrea, to the energy of men because we become conditioned to, men want sex from you, protect yourself. Always, close yourself off a bit. And then I look at the way that the world is interacting with one another, and it's like I'll just speak from the vantage point of women. So many women are kind of walking around like this because it's like, and I experienced that for a long time because as a woman, I mean, I can go have sex. I can walk out my door right now and find somebody. I mean, it's not a problem for a woman to be and we're approached, I mean, daily, and it's just a weird where. And I don't mean just looks and conversation, where a guy will, hey, do you want to come home? A guy will be on my IM on OkCupid, or on, not OkCupid, but on a Facebook or something, and just saying, oh my gosh, if I lived where you lived, I would so be, so we get bombarded with this. So what women start to do is put up a lot of guards to that, but then that intimacy can't even, I mean, I went through a period of my life where it was very much guarded, stand back until you really know me, until I really know you. But what I found is I wasn't getting to really connect and know anyone because there was such a wall, right? And so then the more that I went into that intimacy, as we were talking about, with myself, to where I could just know myself and know those parts of me, like you were saying, that the good, bad, and the ugly. I mean, it was like not just the good things that I loved about myself that I wanted to show the world, but to really get intimate with the parts of me that I'm, you know, that we can walk around and feel shame around, or that we can feel embarrassment or feel less than, but to love and give compassion to those parts of myself. Then I started to feel more and more safety around any advance from a man. I can stay in my power. It doesn't matter, even if the man is coming at me with his penis and really wanting to just penetrate. It's me and my power to inspire him to lift higher and to lift up into God and to want to penetrate my heart and my soul and my mind and my full being, right? And when I can have that sort of intimacy with myself, I don't fear whatever level a man is at. I can be in my power and be in love and be in light, and like you said, Andrea, walk into that energy and welcome and speak to men and talk to men. And I get that same approach. I mean, yes, there are men who are seriously sourcing sex, but there are also so many men that are like, your energy is I don't know. I had a guy approach me in a grocery store, an older man, come out of his way and said, I just keep noticing you in the store, and you are such a bright light, and I'm so drawn to you, and I'm happily married and much older than you and not at all trying to hit on you. I just wanted you to know that. And that's the kind of experience. And I want to say one other thing that was very interesting in a Facebook thread. A woman who has been losing weight. So, of course, she's now garnering more attention. And she was saying, this is really weird to me, and I get it, that, you know, she's like, well, why did you not pay attention then and pay attention now? And we were talking, one, about the shift in her own energy will attract that as well, right? But that, two, it was, when I saw the thread, the women were so closed down. There was so much. A man asked me, you know, at Whole, because what the two examples she gave was she was at Whole Foods, and a guy said, oh, what are we having for dinner tonight, or something like that, you know, and he's just joking, and all these women were boom, 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 and just immediately wanting to knock that man down and say, well, I just say no, and I say I'm not, and I'm like, can't we play? Can't we just, I mean, you're in a safe place. You're not in a dark alley, you know. You're in Whole Foods, and can't, you know, be in that playful energy and not have to knock the man down. You can still tell him no in your own way. You don't have to invite him in for a date. You know, she's married, but can't you stay in that energy of he's just flirting, and can't you make him radiate your light to him as a female in your power and make him feel like a man? Because I feel like so many women, because of the conditioning of sex, 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 have started just shutting men down and closing men off. And then men kind of almost rise up harder, pun fully intended, I think. But they rise up harder only in their penis, only in their body, rather than through their heart and their soul, because they're feeling so shut down.
That is powerful, Elle. And I just got to throw this out there, because that's something, and I'll go to you next, Rahul. Sorry.
Yep.
But something that kind of jumped out at me when you were talking about that was, you know, me and a buddy, because my wife is very staunch feminist, and you know, but she's not a feminist whereas she wants you to think what she thinks. She's a feminist and she wants you to think for yourself, but she's going to put out some a lot to think about, and it's powerful. But I have a buddy who's very, like, you know, just it's like the feminist movement's ridiculous. You know, it's gone overboard. It's too militant. And, you know, and I know there's some sort of middle ground there, but we think about this society that we've had, and it's not just men going after women for sex, but it's men going after women for power and control. And I think that the feminist reaction is this, okay, well, you know, screw you, and if a man, you know, tries to, you know, come at me like that, like you were saying, you know, at the store or whatever, and all these women coming against him, I think that's this overcorrection that has been caused by this extremely masculine, control-driven society. And so now we have this kind of pendulum swing where these women are trying to take their power back. But the problem that I'm seeing consistently is that taking the power back now involves hating the other side. And I think what you guys are doing is talking about standing in your power and raising both men and women up in a humanistic manner towards that higher level of love and awareness. Is that fair?
Yeah, it feels like as women, we've been trying to gain back our power through the ways we've been told and conditioned power is, which is a very patriarchal, masculine form of power. And that's where I've been seeing this Yes All Women campaign go on, and I'm probably going to get some slack for this, but it's really pushed a button in me because I'm seeing all these women complaining and talking about, oh, how men make me feel scared because of this and that. And I just can't line up with that. I can't get on board with that kind of mentality because for me, where I'm at, and being 100% responsible for my life is if a man is approaching me in a certain way and it feels uncomfortable to me, if the man is messaging me with dirty messages and I don't like it, there's something inside of me that I know if it triggers me and it bothers me and it causes contraction, rather than giving my power away by blaming him and pointing fingers at him and making him wrong and bad and the devil, I go within, I see what I need to see, I feel what I need to feel, I transmute that energy, and if there's something I need to say to the man, I will, but from that place of feeling my own self, actually being embodied in my own power and intuitively moving with what needs to be done from that place, rather than just completely, blaming, which in that moment you're automatically giving your power away anyway, and a loss of an opportunity to know yourself more and to know yourself deeper. Which, as Elle was saying, is where the true safety, and I put that in quotes because, I mean, when you're really in that place, that word doesn't even really need to exist, but just that sense of, knowingness in yourself is just naturally unfolds.
Thank you for that, Andrea. Rahul, you had something?
So Andrea shared a powerful example of what it looks like for a woman to show up with men who might be directing that energy at her, and she's opening, and she's open and present with it. I have a powerful story of the opposite of that, with me being the demonstration of love, if you will, with a woman who actually received me as that. So I was going through this transition where I was consciously moving into love with my sexual energy and being like, this whole idea that we're talking about right now is all made up. It's programmed into us, and I know I'm not a threat, so why would I start going into agreement with myself as a threat? So I was like, no, my energy is pure, I love it, and I'm going to flow it that way. So there was this beautiful girl that I met at this restaurant I went to all the time when I was in LA, and the first time I met her, it was just pure love. I was just looking at her, I was like, I love your lips. The energy that was moving through me was very sexual though, but at the same time it was very pure. So I was like, man, this feels so good, and she seemed to be receiving it. But over time I could start feeling her contract. I wouldn't even say that every day. I would just be there and I would just be like, hey, what's up? And I'd look at her and I would just appreciate her and just feel good and play around, flirt. Not flirt, just flirt, call it flirt, whatever. It was just very playful energy and very appreciative energy. So then one day, when I was consciously integrating this lesson and moving into it even more deeply, this character, her, shows up and she's like, Rahul, I need to tell you something. She was like, I feel like you probably get this a lot. I was like, wow. She's like, you probably get this a lot. She's like, I feel like you're imposing on my space, and I can feel like you want to do something with me, and I don't want to do that, so I just want to let you know. And I was like, I could see how other women could say that when I was doing it from a split place, but this girl, all I did was love her, so I was like, this makes no sense. So I was like, I'm gonna be with that. Okay, I was like, thank you for sharing that. I receive it. So then, anyways, I went back to my place, and then I was like, no, I got to go back and I got to share something with her. So I went back and I pulled her aside and I was like, hey, so I appreciate you sharing that with me, and I want you to know this, that when that was moving through me, all I've ever had is love for you, and I love myself too much, and I love you too much to go into agreement with you being a victim in some way, and me needing to be a certain way so that you feel safe. I was like, I love you, so I know I'm safe. And then she was just like, who the fuck is this guy? She looked at me is this for real right now? And then I kid you not, everything shifted, and every time I've seen her since, she gives me the biggest hug. She's got a boyfriend, we're like so connected. The intimacy moves between us because that whole thing was just blown up. Because I refused to like acknowledge like what she was trying to make me be, like a victimizer or a man who's bad or dirty for like flowing this pure energy, which I was conscious that it was, you know. So like it was profound to experience that.
Wow, that's deep. Thank you for sharing that, Rahul. And that's something that, like, for me, you know, I think about things like, because immediately when you said that, I was like, I felt the punch in my gut. Like, I'm sure, I can't imagine what you felt, but I felt it right here. And it's like, because that is, I've experienced that a lot throughout my entire life about, you know, I've always been a very sensitive man, and I've always been very empathic to people's feelings and emotions, and you know, I've always been very loving, and I've been hit in the stomach so many times being that I went into a shell for a very, very long time. You know, I used drugs and alcohol as my numbing agents, but until I came out of that shell and started to love me enough, then I could get back to that place where I could do, you know, now what you did in that experience. That's pretty profound.
One more thing I want to add to that. It's like the expression that actually came out of my mouth was, I love you too much to make my love small, or like to diminish the love that I am, which I feel like that is the heart of like spiritual activism to the max. Like that is living spiritual, that's living love, right? It's like in these very dense and like uncomfortable things, like refusing to diminish the love that you are because of these things. And it's like, yeah, it takes work to get to that point, but I wanted to share that just to give men listening an idea of what that even looks like and what that feels like. And also women too, to like, I don't know if many women have actually experienced that before, but I know she felt it because of who she is now to me. It's just, she's like I can feel it. She trusts me deeper than like probably anything she experiences, because she's like, I know this man is a man of integrity in the truest sense.
That's powerful. It reminds me of that idea that you have to, you know, it's the true spiritual activism is not loving the world as you wish it was, or that the way you think it should be, but loving the world as it is. And I always, you know, one of the practices, one of the practical spiritual things that I do every day is I encourage myself to look into people's eyes and not necessarily at their different body parts, as it were. Like, you know, and I'm a man, so I still, you know, I'm like, wow, you know, that she's beautiful and she got a beautiful ass, and I'm not, you know, that's not left me by any stretch of the imagination. But what has left me is this idea that there's anybody that's really not beautiful. Because when I can look into somebody's eyes, and, you know, society may say they're ugly or they're fat or they're this or they're that, like I can look into somebody's eyes and go, oh my God, like you are beautiful at the deepest, most profound level. And, you know, I work in my mind to constantly be sending out thoughts of love and purity and energy towards these people, regardless of who it is and where it is. And my God, to your point, Andrea, about taking 100% responsibility of your life, I haven't been burned on doing that. It's like almost every single day, even people who are extremely negative and extremely these dark energies, I'll visualize them, literally. I'll visualize source, and I'll visualize me and them in the same sphere and moving towards source, and immediately their negativity towards me doesn't even exist. Even if it exists in them, it doesn't exist in me, so I don't even experience it.
Exactly.
I do a similar thing in terms of, though, and make it a regular practice to look into someone's heart. And I'll open my heart, especially when I'm feeling negativity, especially when I'm feeling shut down or darkness, or, you know, someone distrusting. Because I was honestly having my good friend Ryan's friend was in town, and so it's the first time I've ever met this man. But we were chatting last night at karaoke. You know what I do, Andrea. I'm always out singing. So, when I was having a conversation about that exact thing, Rahul, from a woman, I said, the more that my energy has become expansive and I'm just like, oh, I'm just being loving, I get that raised eyebrow from people like, who is this girl sometimes? I mean, some people love it and invite it in, and some people are like, what's wrong with her? Is she on drugs? What's she doing? Like, or is she wanting something? Or, you know, and again, and some men can misperceive that as sexual energy. And the more that I just get in the flow and be like, it's okay, because, and now again, if I was in a dangerous situation, yes, I do have to, you know, that's where Andrea's safety does come into play. But when I'm just in a public place, in a Whole Foods, or singing karaoke, or walking down, you know, I don't have to worry about all that, because my power doesn't come through force, like when we were talking about like women coming back and they're fighting power of the patriarchal and like through strength and through force and like pounding back. Where our power is more in our radiance and our openness, right? So when we just open that heart, and then even when I feel someone's heart constricted or closed down, it's like I just kind of peer into it and go, like I said, go into it anyway, because I know everybody's heart, they want to love and be loved. But there's, for a lot of people, something that has shut that down or closed that off or scared them from it. Or so when you're just coming with pure intention and open love as a man or a woman, it makes them go, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know, because so many people aren't that. So many people that are telling me things or saying things or giving me their energy, they're doing it with a motive. With the, you know, and you weren't doing that with that woman, you just were loving. And then once she was able to receive that, it opened her up. And I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and something else too is, you know, when I am walking down the street and a man is checking me out, I'm finding it more and more difficult to feel disrespected by that, because the more respect I own within myself, it's actually literally impossible to feel the disrespect from anyone outside of me. So even what I'm noticing that is really profound actually is when a man does look at me, say he's checking out my ass, whatever he's looking at, I am so connected to what he's actually looking at is so much deeper than he may be consciously aware of, that if he's connecting, the vibration I'm holding, the love I'm holding, the openness in my heart that I'm, you know, opening to every moment, if he even is able to lock in any way into my field and acknowledge that, even if he thinks he's looking at my ass and that's what's drawing him to me, or my face, whatever it is, I know at the deepest level he's being drawn to something much deeper than that. So it's almost like, yes, please feel this, you know. Look at this, because you know what you're tapping into is something much more than what he can think of, possibly in that moment.
Beautiful. And I just stay in the playful energy. I mean, I love that life has just become play for me. I mean, it's just like, okay, so he's checking out my boobs or whatever, and it's like, of course he is. Why not? Hey, you know, and it doesn't threaten me. I'm like, whatever. Again, doesn't mean always checking out. I feel disrespected, or I have to sleep with them, or you know, it's just like a beautiful flower or a mountain or a hummingbird that goes by. We notice beauty in nature, and it's okay.
Right. No, that's beautiful. And it's like we put all these expectations on it. You know, it's just societal programming. I think we could talk about this all day. And I know that we'll have plenty of more episodes on this subject, and we have so much to discuss. So I look forward to continuing that and allowing this conversation to continue to unfold. So first of all, thank you, Rahul, for joining us. Rahul, you can find him at theinvincibleman.com. Thank you very much, Rahul.
That sounds so dope. Yes, my pleasure.
So dope. You're so in flow, bro. So Andrea DiLorenzo from AndreaDiLorenzo.com. Don't forget the dash. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
David Pagan from Kick-Ass Dad. David, as always, just such a pleasure having you. Thank you, David. And Elle, I mean, from Inspired Success, you are literally just an angel who jumped in here right at the perfect moment. So thank you so much, Elle, for joining us today. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Elle.
Elle, how do we find you?
It's my website is Elle. Or, no, that's my email. But you can email me too. Elle at inspired-success.com. My website is inspired-success.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. Inspiring articles and videos and fun.
Nice.
Wonderful. My name is Michael Mataluni. I'm your host, and we look forward to catching you all on the flip side. Peace.
Love.
Happiness.
Next episode. I'm going to go watch the World Cup now.